In this episode, I want to acquaint you with the characters in my biblical historical fiction series, Age of the Kingdom. The first book is Quest for a King. It's available now, and the second book is Exile of the King. And I'm going to read a little bit from Quest for a King so you can get a feel for it. As you know, if you've been following my channel, I'm in the process of writing a series of biblical historical novels that I'm calling the Age of the Kingdom series. And in the series, I'll be following a couple of families through multiple generations, over about 140 years actually, because the series is against the backdrop of the time when Israel was a united monarchy under King Saul, King David, and King Solomon. And today I just wanted to acquaint you with the characters. And the first character that we encounter, and the family that is front and center in most of the novels, his name is Eldad. He's a metalsmith in Mizpah. Mizpah is a town that's in the tribe of Benjamin, which is north of Jerusalem. And I wanted to put him in Mizpah because there are a lot of things that happen in Mizpah during these stories which take place in 1 Samuel in the Bible. The entire series is based on 1 and 2 Samuel, 1 Kings, and information from 1 Chronicles. So Eldad is a smith and he has a family. I want to read just a little bit from A Quest for a King so that you can get a feel for what the novels are like. I'm going to be reading chapter 3, and there's a lot that goes on before that, of course, in chapter 1 and chapter 2, but when we come into chapter 3, Eldad has been in the marketplace, and he's discovered, because he ran into one of his customers, he's discovered that some of the tools that have been made in his forge have been defective. And so he's coming home to confront his brother about it. Eldad, still carrying his cloth bag of bronze samples, hurried along a dusty, rutted street with head-high mud brick walls on either side. He stopped at a wooden gate and went through a stone archway into his family compound. The compound consisted of a courtyard and several stone apartments built side by side and a wooden livestock pen in a forward corner. He wasted no time entering an open door to the forge on the main floor of the largest house. The room was dark except for daylight from the door and a small window, plus a hot fire in the furnace. Eldad could hear the hammer ringing as it struck metal on the anvil. "Brother, can you explain this?" Eldad's brother, Jacob, stopped hammering a bronze shearing knife. Eldad held out the bent sickle. Jacob looked at him, not understanding. "Phanuel demanded his silver back and vowed to find another smith. Why would this sickle bend this way? Is this not your work?" Eldad's younger brother took the sickle. "I suppose it is." "Of course it is. Why did this happen?" "Perhaps my experiment didn't work as hoped." "Experiment? What do you mean?" "Do you know how much the tin from Anatolia is costing now? And there's precious little of it. So I tried a substitution." "You changed the alloy?" "We have been making bronze the same way for generations. What did you use?" "Sand, but only a little." "Sand? Why would you think that would work? You should have known that would weaken the bronze." "How do we know if we don't try?" "Actually, when you melt sand, it bonds well, but we can't be selling untried materials to customers. If you want to experiment, do it on your own. Otherwise, stick to what we know works. The formula Father taught us." Eldad turned and angrily left the forge. It was still light, but the sun would be setting soon. He suddenly realized he was hungry. The family compound was surrounded by a high wall and included 3 houses side by side with the shared walls like apartments. Eldad's house was the largest because he was the firstborn son. It had been the house of his father and mother before that his grandfather. It had been built by Eldad's great-grandfather sometime after Israel conquered Mizpah, and it was claimed for the tribe of Benjamin. Connected to it was a small house for his widowed mother, then Jacob's house. There was room for more, but so far there was no need. As Eldad walked toward the corner of the courtyard where a stone oven stood, he shook off his anger. He came up behind his wife, Hadassah, who was absorbed in the baking of a loaf of pita, so she didn't hear him coming. He wrapped his arms around her. "Oh!" Hadassah exclaimed. At 20 years of age, her slim body was warm and soft in Eldad's embrace, and the smell of baking bread brought feelings of hearth and home. "Oh, what a day I've had!" "Be careful," she chided. "Always. When do we eat?" "It appears it will be late," came another voice. It was Eldad's mother, Zemira. Hadassah frowned. "It will be ready soon enough, if my husband will stop distracting me." "My son, wash up for supper. You smell of the forge." "It's the aroma of the work which pays for the bread, Mother." "Still, clean up." "Yes, of course, I'm starved." As he went to his house, he saw Jacob's wife, Ophrah, with a tray of food and their 4-year-old daughter, Talia. "The date cakes are ready," Ophrah said. "So we only lack the bread." Zemira looked at Hadassah. "It's almost done. Bring it to the table when it is." "Yes, Mother." Hadassah remained at the oven alone as the others entered the main house. The extended family were all seated on cushions on the floor around a low table which was laden with food. In addition to the pita Hadassah had prepared, there was roasted lamb, greens and leeks, and Ophrah's date cakes. The tableware was glazed clay and bronze spoons and knives. Glazed clay cups held wine and water. Eldad said the blessing as they all bowed their heads. "Blessed are you, Yahweh our God, ruler of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth. Amen." "Amen," Jacob repeated, and the family began eating. Golden light came from a single window, a fireplace, and oil lamps mounted on strategically placed shelves, protruding from the stone walls. The floor was hard-packed earth, but colorful drapes and carpets softened the room. In an alcove on one wall was a small image of Baal, the Canaanite god of harvest. As everyone reached for food and passed the serving dishes, Zemira broke the brief silence. "The forge has been busy?" "Yes, we have orders for many sickles, scythes, and a variety of knives," Eldad answered. "Even swords. Today I got an order for the Baals." "Eldad, have you heard the rumors?" Jacob asked. "About what?" "That the Philistines are going to march against us." "I don't listen to gossip." "Would they come here?" Hadassah asked softly. "Not likely," Eldad assured her. "Would you both have to fight?" Ophrah asked, looking at the 2 men. "When the call to arms comes, the men of Israel should answer," Eldad said. "But both of you shouldn't go. Someone must mind the forge," Zemira asserted, then looked at her 2 daughters-in-law. "No one has yet given me grandsons." "If we had a king like a real nation, he would have a standing army to protect us," said Jacob. "This again?" Eldad responded. Yahweh is Israel's king, and his priests and judges tell us his will. That's all we need. That's old-fashioned, brother. We must look to the future. We had no king when Moses freed us from slavery in Egypt. We had no king when Joshua conquered this promised land, and we need no king now. Nor Deborah, nor Gideon, nor Samson, I get it. Ophrah interrupted the feuding brothers. If Yahweh is all we need, why do we have the Baal watching over us? Ophrah pointed to the alcove with its bull-shaped statue. Appealing to a God of abundant harvest is wise, Zamira insisted. Father did. We can honor both. Prophets, priests, and judges, so add a king. What difference would it make? Jacob continued. To a king it is weakness to listen to prophets, Eldad argued. So make sure to have a godly king. Well, little brother, I doubt anyone will ask your opinion. Nor yours. Your line won't even survive if Hadassah continues to fail to give you offspring. And where is your son? At least Ophrah has proven she is not barren. Eldad stood abruptly. Sit down and be quiet, shouted Zamira. If I didn't know better, I'd think the two of you were still 10 and 8 years old. Let us continue our meal in peace. Eldad sat down again and put a large piece of pita in his mouth. Jacob sulked, but said no more. So that's chapter 3 of Quest for a King. In the second book, I added a feature because one of my readers said, you know, we need a list of the characters because, well, there are a lot of characters and there get to be more as the generations pass. And so my solution to that was to create a page for genealogy. So here's the genealogy of Eldad of Benjamin. And it starts actually with Eldad's father, Elishama, and his mother, Zamira. And it has Eldad and Hadassah, and then Jacob and Ophrah. But later on in the story, Jacob takes another wife, Zipporah, and she has 3 children for Jacob. And then we have Hadassah and Eldad have 2 sons, Jeriah and Atzel. And later on in the story, they marry, and they have children of their own. And so that's the story as far as it goes in the second book, Exile of the King. I also added 2 other genealogies, one for the kings, and this genealogy has both Saul and David on it because David married Saul's daughter, so he's actually part of the family of Saul. And then the other genealogy is the genealogy of the priests and Levites because they have a role to play, and it's actually quite a tragic role because the family of Eli and his descendants was pretty much a cursed family of priests. And so they figure in a large way, especially in the opening of Quest for a King. Well, that's all for this episode. Join me again when we have another video. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more of this, and click the bell if you want to be notified when another video drops. Thank you for watching.